your biggest contribution to the ascension process of humanity is the frequency of your vibration. So it means like what you're actually resonating with. So if you are fixated on following the breadcrumb trail of corruption and you have a hard time trusting that when you let go of that, or when you let go of exposing corruption and things that are going on behind the scenes, if you have a hard time trusting that people are still going to wake up even if you let go, then there's a part of you that's resonating in fear and doesn't believe that you can trust, that doesn't believe that you can let go. It believes that you have to hold on and fixate on exposing this breadcrumb trail of corruption, and that humanity or people don't have the wherewithal to come to their own truth on that, or that the light of ascension will outshine all of that and those will be relics of the past not very long from now. So you're inadvertently, and I'm not speaking to anyone in particular here, this just is anybody who fixates on the corruption, on the negative agendas, and I've been one of those people, so I can tell you all about it firsthand. Anybody who's doing that, you're not realizing that you are energizing certain thought forms, certain frequencies, and you are adversarial towards an energy you don't want. So whether you resist it and oppose it, or whether you agree with it mindlessly, and are numb to it, either way, you're energizing that paradigm, that manifestation. Whereas when you focus on what you do want, rather than being anti something, you are pro something, and you focus your energies to that frequency, you end up moving closer and closer towards our authentic core frequency of a co-creator, meaning that you are pro something. You are pro New Earth. You are pro the creation of something which is connecting, something which is healing, something which is building a global community. When you put your energy in that camp, it puts you closer to your core frequency and raises your vibration. And the higher your vibration is, the more subtle your frequencies are. The more subtle your frequencies are, the further they reverberate out and have a higher causative effect. That's why the unified field, the oneness, which connects everything, is the most subtle frequency, but it has the most powerful creator effect. It has the most powerful effect. That's because it's on the highest frequency. There is no frequency higher than the Most High. So, for us, it is in surrendering and trusting the natural process, the process of a flower blossoming, the process of a tree emerging from an acorn, the process of a human civilization ascending into a love-based society rather than a fear-based society. And it's by letting go of those dense negative paradigms, those dense negative agendas, and letting go of opposing them even, that starts to raise our frequency. Because even consuming your thought process in that is giving it power, so to speak. So let's just zoom out. If you knew 100% that in 10, 20, 30 years, however many amount of time you want to say, that the whole planet is so different, everything is so different, love has emerged in a way we have never seen before, unpredictable, spontaneous thresholds have been hit, and things are never, ever the same, and everything that people are exposing now in terms of corruption are just kind of relics of the past and kind of like interesting things that happened way back then, but aren't really relevant anymore because we're in a whole new paradigm. And it was all going to be fine. Would you be fixating on this in the same way? Because here's what I want to tell you. This is kind of the crazy plot twist, is all this fixation on negative paradigms, negative agendas. This is going to be something that you're going to have to detox and heal as New Earth emerges. You're going to have to heal your own addiction to negativity, because when there's no more negativity, you're going to notice there's a part of you that still wants to find negativity. It's still going to be like, I don't know, I can't trust. It's It's going to be traumatized by the old system. So instead of continuing to fuel that addiction to exposing corruption, to finding things that are wrong, or things that are, how do I want to say, different than what they seem, understand that that's part and parcel of human psychology, human culture at this time, and understand that you'll be able to see it when it's right in front of you. You don't have to even really search it out. Honestly, I haven't really searched that much out. I've been able to kind of just discern based on what people say, and a quick couple clips on the internet just get a sense of, you know, where corruption may or may not be. And to focus that energy instead into being pro New Earth. So what does that mean? Basically, instead of focusing, so literally this is the binary. This is the binary switch right here. Instead of focusing on, oh no, this could be going wrong in humanity, there's this negative agenda that people want to establish. Instead, we focus on humanity is shifting into a higher state of consciousness, and love is going viral. And this is happening on the underground in a way that can't be understood by any media source coverage. That is the switch. You're focusing on, from instead what you don't want to see happen to what you do know is happening. And as you do that, your soul calibrates to the truth of this natural emergence, this flower blossoming, this tree emerging from the acorn, and you become aligned with the natural blueprint, not with the carcinogenic, cancerous, sort of anti-human connection paradigm, which is basically just a small little phase where the flower's trying to blossom and there's a little bit dirt on it, and it's just got to fling that off. And that's basically the equivalent of these negative paradigms. So what we want to do is move into our place of trusting the divine plan, and know that basically, you know, in my last video I said that we've been watching the previews and the movie of the Great Awakening is just beginning. But now it's about knowing that this is just part of the process, and that there is no need to fixate on it, and that everyone will kind of find their own truth through that. The other big thing, and I'm getting this right now really clearly, is that there's been negative events and corruption that's been exposed and stuff like this, and some people believe that, some people don't, you know, over the last year. But what I'm getting is that there will be positive events which eclipse these negative events, these things, this corruption, so much that you'll be wondering, why did I focus so much energy on all of this negative or corrupt stuff when there's this positive force and energy that will so drastically outshine all of that, that will make it look like, wow, I really put a lot of energy into that, when as if this was coming the whole time. I didn't even know. I could have just been chilling. I could have just trusted. So I just want to remind you, you can trust. And as you trust, you raise in frequency. And there is indeed a divine plan. So everything is unfolding piece by piece by piece, like the natural emergence of a flower, like the water finding its way through a forest, creating a stream, and you know, it finds a cliff, it becomes a waterfall. We are navigating with the natural rhythms of life, and we are attuning as we go, and there is a natural process upon we can place our trust. And this is so key, because what I want to come and bring it back to again is that when we trust, we raise our frequency. And the higher we raise our frequency, the more subtle our vibration becomes, the more long ripple effect it has, the more out expanding it goes. So you raise into a really high frequency, has a very, very positive effect. So basically, what does this mean? It's kind of the ultimate faith. It's like whatever you see happening on the outside, you know that it's just a little hiccup along the way for the path of this natural emergence. So it doesn't even matter what it is. You see something happen and you're like, yeah, that had to happen, and we're on this wavelength where everything is going and connecting so much faster exponentially for humanity. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see these little hiccups, and it's beautiful to acknowledge within us, if there is any fear or attachment, how it can bring that up, and then we can see that and be like, oh, I can heal this part of me, and so it can help us heal like that. But as we raise in our frequency, we emit that subtle frequency, and it's not necessarily perceptible to anyone or everyone around us in our lives, but it does have an effect in every interaction that we have. Because here's the unspoken thing, and I fell into this trap. When you are adversarial towards a corrupt or negative agenda, you are fueling it in a sense. You're giving it energy, you're giving it power, and you're creating a polarity, a duality between you, yourself, and other people who don't necessarily understand or haven't investigated these types of corruptions or negative agendas, right? And then that adversarial energy actually causes an ego bifurcation separation. So when you're talking with that person, there's a sense of like, they believe something, I believe something, and because we haven't really rose to the place of being able to agree to disagree, that tends to create a separation. Whereas this, check this out, really trippy, if you're able to be neutralized and just be like, I totally see your perspective. I've heard some other stuff, but I don't want to, force that on you. And you can really stay neutral. You don't even have to say anything. You can literally just be neutral. Then it can diffuse their judgment and their charge. Why? Because your subtle frequency of neutrality is like contagious. So if somebody has a charge and they're like, let's say they're like, people should wear masks. And then they have this charge and you're like, yeah. And you're just there and you're neutral. That charge goes out and it can become neutralized in your presence. And then that creates more connection, less division, less duality, more unification. And the more people become neutralized, counterintuitive, rather than combative and adversarial and polarized, the more this unified heart energy can connect. And check this out, when this heart energy connects, then all of a sudden new emergent phenomena starts to become possible. Because when we are more connected and unified in the heart, then we trust each other more. We communicate more effectively. It's like a trickle effect. It's a domino effect. And then we band together more powerfully when needed, when things happen, whether there's global events, whether there's just shifts or positive things that happen, we will kind of unify better. So counterintuitively, by being neutralized, by raising your frequency, by focusing on what you would like to see, being pro this rather than anti that, understand that the subconscious gives energy and will walk you towards what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, you're literally going in that direction. And it's really coming actually, for most of us, from a place of not fully trusting the natural emergent process. So understand that maybe there's a fear or anxiety or a aggression. Sometimes we even have an addiction to our own anger, aggression, to need to be fighting something. I've had this as a teenager. Just need to stand up against something all the time. But what about when there's nothing to stand up to anymore? And we're connecting more than ever. Then what? Well, then you have to heal that part of you. So why not heal that part of you now? Because you can trust now. You can heal now. You can have faith in the natural process of ascension now, rather than following this breadcrumb trail of negative agenda and energizing that. Start to trust, have faith, focus on the high frequency, put your energy into what you would like to see, and notice what happens when you let that negative agenda go. Notice what happens. Your frequency will shoot up through the roof, and maybe any parts of you that are addicted will kind of grasp for it because there's an emotional addiction there. So that's it. I love you so much. I hope you got a lot from this.